Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. This is First Alert Plus. Meteorologist Nicholas Snider here. And yeah, we're talking about heat. That's the name of the game. It's been hot since Sunday, really Saturday even. And we're going to have much more on what you can expect on this heat wave, both tomorrow and beyond. Of course, we're going to play even a little game, the heat comparison game, showing you how hot it is here compared to other locations that are pretty famous for being hot. And we are seeing some relief on the way. There is a pattern change in sight, and you're going to like it. But first and foremost, again, we got to talk about the heat. It's hot all around the area. As of about 7 p.m. this Tuesday, we're in the middle and upper 90s all around the region. You add the humidity to this, you look at how humid this air is. It is very tropical, into the 70s for dew points. A lot of us seeing those, even some mid-70s dew points out there. Very tropical, just very unpleasant air. And you factor that humidity in, this is what it feels like out there. 100 degrees in Charleston, 101 Huntington, 110 in Portsmouth with that very, very tropical dew point there. That is not fun. 100-degree feel-like temperature, Sandy Hook, 102 Paintsville, or 103 in Spencer, 100 in Athens. Name of the game is finding a way to stay cool. Take those breaks inside, go in the pool, stay hydrated, don't be out and about during the middle of the day. Probably not a good idea. This pattern is not going to budge anytime soon. High pressure, big old ridge, we call it a heat dome, and as this is pulling in hot air from the south, what this is doing is it is expanding the heat dome over regions. Now we are seeing a few thunderstorms further up to the north along the edges of this. That's called the ring of fire. But these thunderstorms are allowing kind of a breakdown of that heat dome. So it's kind of flattening out here as opposed to getting taller. But the overall conditions over our regions, hot and dry weather. Cooler conditions, meanwhile, out to the west. And, of course, out in the North Atlantic here, we're wedged in between those two cold areas. And with that, that's what we're getting, that big heat dome. Now, we have seen a few thunderstorms trying to pop further to the north of our viewing area. This is north of US 50, up in Hocking County, Ohio, up in, let's say, Pickaway County, Ohio, even further to the west in southwest Ohio, right along the Warren-Clinton County line in southwest Ohio. They're seeing the storms. We are not seeing the storms. Closest storms to our area, off into Pocahontas County a little bit earlier in this afternoon. Those are fading away as they're moving into Virginia, hitting that high pressure. That high pressure, though, is going to break down eventually, and we're going to start to see some of this activity that we're seeing right now in, let's say, south central Ohio begin to move our way tomorrow. Areas along and north of US 50 within our viewing area tomorrow could even see an isolated storm trying to pop up, so we'll watch for that. Meanwhile, the river cities, the I-64 corridor, not seeing any storms anytime soon, and a lot of eastern Kentucky also should remain dry. At least for the next 48 hours or so here. Lots of heat alerts in place. Extreme heat warning through 8 p.m. Wednesday, areas in purple right here. That does include both Huntington and Charleston, much of the I-77 corridor right here. We got a heat advisory for everybody else. Difference here is not much. A heat index of 110 or more, or rather 105 or more in this extreme heat warning. In the heat advisory, it is 100 or more. Regardless, anytime you get above that 100-degree heat index right there, that's where you're going to run into some issues as far as heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Know the symptoms of that, and again, take those precautions. As long as you're taking those precautions, you should be A-OK. You shouldn't run into any issues. But if you know anybody that's sensitive, if you have any pets, just make sure you're taking extra care of them because they could run into those issues. We're seeing more of this stuff tomorrow. Let's take a look at our slew of models. This, of course, the European model, one of the more reliable ones out here. We're in the middle, triple digits tomorrow, also on Thursday. Keep in mind those heat alerts last until Wednesday at 8 p.m., but I think they could last longer than that. I think maybe till Friday is when these heat alerts could last, thanks to, again, these really strong heat indices. Now, Friday will be an interesting day because we're going to see a little bit more of this energy try to come on in. And as this energy does that, it'll help try to break down this heat dome, and what we're going to see is maybe a few storms trying to mess with that heat, make it feel a little bit better out there. Definitely we're going to see that on Saturday and Sunday. And that's a look at the European model. Region-wide, again, you just see how expansive this forecast heat is expected to be. Look at these feels-like temperatures even on the East Coast. You're not supposed to feel like that in New York City or Washington, D.C. right there. Not very fun. Again, continuing through Thursday, continuing through Friday, and then Saturday we get a bit of a break when everything starts to calm down thanks to the storms moving in. American model, these are showing the same thing. Remember, when you get these two models really agreeing, it's pretty certain that this is going to happen. So tomorrow, expect a repeat of what we saw today. Expect it on Thursday too, and then Friday is when those storms could move on in, bring us below that danger threshold, at least for some time. Saturday, more of these storms work on in, and those storms Saturday, again, really help out the situation. By Sunday, we're well below the danger threshold, so we're looking A-OK there, and things are looking better. Region-wide shows much of the same thing. Again, these two models really agreeing pretty well. When you get this much agreement, it's pretty remarkable how accurate your forecast could get, because when these two are saying the same thing, it's pretty much a slam dunk of an event. And that's what we're going to see all the way into the weekend. So yeah, be prepared for those hot temperatures before things finally calm down. National Weather Service models showing a bit more aggressive numbers, especially tomorrow and on Wednesday. I do expect them to extend those heat warnings, as I mentioned earlier, for Thursday, maybe even into Friday. Saturday is when things start to get a little bit better, and Sunday things get a whole lot better. All right, here's our heat comparison game. Current temp 92 in Charleston, heat index of 96. Let's go to Death Valley, California. That's famous for being hot. We have a hotter heat index than Death Valley, California. They're at 88. The wind actually making it feel a little bit cooler than their 93-degree temperature, but we're about the same temperature as Death Valley, California. Not too often that happens. We have about the same as Dallas, Texas, and when you're the same as Dallas, Texas, yeah, you're hot. Myrtle Beach, 88 degrees. We're hotter than Myrtle Beach right now, but their heat index, they're a bit more humid than us. They have a higher heat index. Regardless, no matter where you are, especially in the eastern two-thirds of the United States, it's very toasty out there, and this pattern will continue. Here's that heat dome, but notice this piece of energy right here, this little kink in our white lines right up here. We're watching this closely. It starts to dive down. It erodes that heat dome away. This is the European model, and this energy you see here stretching from Michigan all the way down through the Midwest. Downwind of this into much of Ohio, into Indiana, and portions of our region. That's where you're going to see those thunderstorms really start to develop, especially Friday into Saturday. Really limit that heat quite a bit. Same thing with the, of course, American model right here. Again, when these two show this much agreement, pretty much a slam dunk, it's going to happen. So Friday into Saturday, this energy right here is what's going to help drive this heat out of the region and make things look better as we head into next week. That's what we're looking for, right along that energy of those thunderstorms to pop up. Initially for the weekend, these storms will pop up, and the storms are going to be what drives the heat out of here. But eventually a cold front will come through next week, and that'll make it feel a whole lot better. Here's our area of low pressure right here. A warm front scraped across areas to our north on a Thursday right here. And initially that will keep much of the heat overhead. But as we head down the line, this cold front right here, Friday into Saturday, brings in these storms and makes things a whole lot better. Want to show you the breakdown of this heat ridge. Notice it's in place until Tuesday. Big old piece of cold air trying to come on in from the Hudson Bay down into our neck of the woods. Cold front looks likely by the middle of next week. Now the pattern is still looking pretty warm for us. You got that strong polar vortex up here in the Arctic. That signifies that that cold air still wants to be bottled up there. Still got some cold air in Alaska, though. We're starting to see some warm air kind of trend to the north. The biggest thing is this heat ridge down here in the western United States. That's what you call a negative Pacific North American, or rather a positive Pacific North American oscillation, which allows some of the cooler air that's up in the Arctic to try to move its way down. That's what we're going to be seeing at a little closer look. Again, here's the heat ridge. Notice it's still trying to hang on, and then this cold air dives on down, pushes that heat well to the west, changes that Pacific North American oscillation to a positive phase, and gets us into some more comfortable temperatures. Once that cold front comes through, the middle of next week looking fantastic. Pushes the humidity out, makes those temperatures into the mid-80s. It's going to be absolutely beautiful by the middle of next week, though we will start to see some rain. Looking beyond this, this goes into July 4th. We're still looking above average as far as temperatures are concerned here in this orange. Those temperatures are going to be warm, but precipitation chances still look pretty high. So we are looking maybe wet for 4th of July. I do know the week leading up to 4th of July looks a little wet. We may have to watch out for some travel concerns leading up to July 4th for rain and storms that could be moving on in. Of course, we will know about 4th of July itself next week on First Alert Plus, which is airing at a new time. By the way, First Alert Plus is now going to be on Mondays at 6:45 p.m., not on Tuesdays, to make room for our new sports show. So it is now Mondays, 6:45 p.m. Of course, this is First Alert Plus. We now air every Monday at 6:45 p.m. All the digital platforms, Facebook, Roku, the WSAZ app, WSAZ.com, or anything else you could think of digital, we will be on there. We give you that first alert, get a little technical with you on the weather, and keep you updated on every event that is headed our way as a possibility. In the meantime, I'm Nicholas Snider. Make it a great Tuesday.